What's going on, everybody? Beam here, back at it again with another subclass. I've had a long and frankly very stressful month, but this is my birthday month, and I don't celebrate my birthday, so you already know what time it is. We are going to go through the low-rated subclass list yet again, and last time we did the Psychopath Fighter archetype by Tetragamer, and we're going to go through a couple options and see what sticks out. We have... I still don't know what Abajirai is. Oh, but this looks like a remake. He remade his own. It's a completely different person. Interesting. One of these days I'm going to have to look into whatever Abajirai is. Bards of all trades. Oh, this is so much. This is so much. And yet it also simultaneously doesn't look like much at all. Increased to 22. Ah, this is a can of worms I don't want to open up just yet. Met domain. This is the player has found their DM and has started to worship the DM to gain his knowledge and use it to their advantage. Do you mean meta? That's kind of cute. That's kind of cute. I like that. Meta domain? That's kind of cute. We'll look at something else, but I don't... I might be sold. Inquisitor Paladin. I'm still thinking of... I might do a video for that Oath of the Gorgon Paladin. This doesn't look too crazy. I feel like this would be pretty easy to upgrade. Firearms? Not a lot of people use firearms, but that'd be interesting. Everybody loves ninjas. Oh, this is really... Hang on. This is very written out. Distract enemies. There's something in your enemy's face, such as sand, crushed glass, liquid, or dirt, to determine the substance used. Dexterity 12, check. This is another one that looks like it'd be interesting to try to rework. Intelligence here. DC 15, okay. Level 13. The immediate jump to level 13. Well, it definitely shows promise, but I did just recently do the whole Abajirai Samurai rework that is up here, and I turned that into kind of like a stealth samurai build. So maybe if I do ninja, I'll have to come back to it later. Acolyte of Death, what is this, like an anti-druid druid? Stronger proficiency in athletics, faster increase in dex, and smarter increase in wisdom. That's not what getting smarter is. Wisdom is not intelligence. That would be wizened? Mature, I guess? But still, that seems very nebulous. And as a spellcasting class, you also have to like give them a spell list to get as well. I feel like that. None of these are really tickling me like the meta domain cleric. This looks like it's just the cleric class you pick when you want to push the plot forward. Be like, hey DM, you wrote this whole campaign out for us. Go ahead and exposit to us the story. Everything that you've written out, give it to us all. Give it to us all. Just like, let's move this forward. Get us to where you're trying to go. This almost feels like the kind of thing I should do for like an April Fool's, like an April 1st kind of. Fuck it. I think I'm sold. I think I'm sold. I like how this looks. The meta domain spells. It's just so... It looks like it is so committed to the bit. And I respect that a lot. There's always that joke of like, my cleric worships the DM as the god. Yeah, I'm definitely sticking with this. It's reminiscent of like that long-running joke where like, oh, my cleric worships the DM or the game master, the dungeon master. I call upon my god, Mike. What am I supposed to do here? Kind of idea. I think that's cute. I think that's funny. I always thought that was more of like a warlock kind of joke, but I'm resigned to the fact that my tastes are abnormal compared to others, and maybe I'll do something like that for a warlock down the line at some point. But I like the idea of a cleric diving into the meta commentary of a campaign. So let's go over these meta domain spells. The 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th level ones. Let's see, we got command and identify. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Maybe switch command. This came out, when did this come out? 2018, so Silvery Barbs wasn't out yet. If this is kind of just like bending the rules of, oh, excuse me, I have the hiccups. If this is like the idea of bending the rules to further development, and we've got counterspell there, I see. I was thinking maybe Silvery Barbs instead of command might work better in that spot. We've got Augury and Zone of Truth. Yup. Counterspell and Tongues. Gotta be able to talk. Gotta be able to further the plot. Divination. Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum. Interesting. I was thinking more like Clairvoyance, but I don't know if that's 4th level or not. And then Legend, Lore, and Commune. Beautiful. Let's see. The meta bonus. At 1st level, you gain 2 languages, proficiency in history, but if you are proficiency in history, you gain expertise in it. Then 1 more skill proficiency of your choice. I think it'd be funny to have your DM choose it. 1 more skill proficiency chosen by your DM. I think that would be really funny. At 2nd level, clerics gain channel divinity, the blessing of meta. I haven't played a cleric recent enough to remember when they get channel divinity specifically. I'll be cross-examining this later when I start rewriting. So if there's like a level missing, the jump from 8th to 17th also kind of sticks out. Maybe the levels are a bit mismatched, but if anything stands out, I'll be studying clerics after this so that I can rewrite it. But I like the meta bonus, and let's see what the blessing of meta is. As a bonus action, you can make a DC history check decided by the GM to remember some knowledge to the current situation, such as monsters, resistances, immunities, or vulnerabilities. Gotta come up with like a hard and fast limit, because the sky is the limit, and you don't want to reach the sky at level 2. But that's good. I like that a lot. Breaking the 4th wall. I like that. I like the name. Good naming convention. Is an action once per week. You can use any meta knowledge from any source with the GM's help. That's beautiful. I don't know what to say to that. I like the ability. I don't think that should be that low. I feel like that should maybe it should be a little bit higher. Maybe a little higher level. I want to be able to I want to twist that a little bit. These all just need a little bit of fleshing out, but these are good ideas. Just a little bit of fleshing out to make them less crazy. This definitely, I'm going to keep both of those. I'm keeping all 3 of these so far, just tweaking things a little bit. Meta Charm. Level 8 is an action. You can use meta knowledge to charm. That could probably be a channel divinity. Because don't they get 2 channel divinities? Or is that paladins that I'm thinking of? That might be paladins I'm thinking of. Let's see. Meta knowledge, quotes, to charm a creature within 30 feet of you that can be charmed. The target creature, you don't have to specify that can be charmed. The DM is usually the person who specifies, because they'll know what can and can't be. So it's taking out any superfluous language. The target creature must make a wisdom saving throw or be charmed for 24 hours. You can use this ability once per day. That's really cool. I like that. That's gotta be against Cleric DC, obviously. That needs to be mentioned so that nobody's misinterpreting what against that they're making. And at 17th level, a massive jump. As an action, you can become a creature that is of your level for up to 24 hours. The creature can be of any playable race and class. You can use this ability once per week. I'm pretty sure that that's gotta go, because like unless you have a like pre-made character sheet, and like if to do this, you would have to have multiple character sheets. You can only use it once per week as well. So unless you're always changing into some other specific person, and then of course there's the fact that they also need to have like items. They have to also have, if it's a spellcast, you have to like know everything about them. You're basically having to memorize at least a second character's worth of abilities and traits. And I feel like that's just too much work. So that's probably the only one that I would change. But otherwise, all of this is really good. I think 1 per day is really good for meta charm. Breaking the fourth wall is cool. Once per week is a little long for that, so that might drop down to the last level, and we'll make that like once per day. Like, and there's already a spell that does that, so that can drop down to like the 17th level thing, assuming that clerics get something at 17th level, and that'll just be, hey, you can cast this one spell at will once per day. Blessing of Meta Channel Divinity is really sick. I like that. Meta bonus, I like that. All of the meta domain spells, I like. Maybe Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum I'll change. Command I might change. But otherwise, all of those spells really fit this bill. I might keep it. I might keep it the same. That's actually, all of this is actually fine. I don't see any real reason to change any of those, except for the fact that there are new spells that have come out since then, and who knows? You know, maybe some other meta-breaking spell has come out. Hey, it's time to commit. I'll catch you when it's time to talk about the features and the background.
There is but one tired, overworked, and infinitesimally patient God who presides over all known facts of our universe. Creation, magic, life and death, and everything in between fall under the purview of this lone, many-faced being. Where there is a story to be told, a legend to be made, there is also a single God narrating that story for those of us who might sit around a friendly fire or at a table to bear witness. However, in our world, there are those who would seek to impede the process of that narration. When the words of that lone, tired God become superseded, it falls to one voice among the round to hold strong to their faith. It takes but a single, similarly tired acolyte, sympathetic to the efforts behind that God's ministrations, to push forward the stories that we cherish.
All right. I believe we are good to begin. This really started out as kind of an April Fool's idea that honestly I was maybe a bit more serious with going into it than I had intended originally. But there's 23 pages of low-rated D&D subclasses on D&D Beyond, so I truly have... The sky's the limit for what I have to work with. I'm not going to run out anytime soon. And, you know, that's not going to stop me from making my own ideas as well. And realistically, this is all just happening in between actual projects that I'm working on. This is just stuff to fill with. So, be that as it may.
But I put in a bit more effort than I originally intended with this meta domain. I did say originally that I was going to leave the meta domain spells much the same, but looking back at it, I do have some things I wish I'd changed. Like, I wanted to swap the first level command to Silvery Barbs. I wanted to swap out the 7th level Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum with something else that I forget now at this point, because it truly doesn't matter. These are all really good options for a person who kind of like breaks into the meta of what D&D is. I really like all of this. So the meta domain spells are Command and Identify at the 1st level, Augury and Zone of Truth for the 3rd, Counterspell and Tongues for the 5th, Divination and Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum for the 7th, and finally Legend, Lore, and Commune for the 9th. You also gain bonus proficiencies when you choose this domain at 1st level. You gain proficiency with History and another skill chosen by your DM. I said I wanted to bring that idea in earlier, and I did. I think it's something that should be in the hands of the DM to decide what skill would be most useful for you to have. And then if you already have proficiency with History, you gain expertise with it, because I like that idea as well. So mostly this is to keep things in line with how they intended them in the original design. And the 1st level ability is Meta Commentary. At 1st level, you may utilize your god's bountiful meta-knowledge to pull information from just about any source. When making intelligence, history, nature, religion, arcana, or nature checks, I have nature in there twice, that was meant to be investigation. Hold on! And there we go. Investigation in line with history, nature, religion, and arcana. Checks, you may use your wisdom modifier instead of your intelligence. Kind of just wanting this to be... intelligence is a very underutilized stat, I've found. Not many people like to make their characters very intelligent. It's a very easy stat to drop. There's not really an incentive outside of being a spellcaster, and even after, if you're a spellcaster, having intelligence doesn't really help you unless you're a wizard or an artificer. These are all really useful skill checks for furthering the plot, furthering the story. It's very inquisitive, but I notice in my games at least, and I've seen quite a few reports of, on subreddits of people who run with groups that don't tend to focus a lot on a lot of role play skill checks, and they're just not as useful as they used to be. Intelligence as a stat just isn't as useful or as necessary as it used to be in a lot of older editions. And then because of that, you don't see a lot of these skill checks get used very often, or at least I don't. I can only speak for myself and what I see and what I read, and in my experience, it tends to be underutilized. So this is a way to make a cleric that utilizes these skill checks that help further this narrative, that help further the story, that make people better at revealing this story. The metatextual... I think I'm just repeating myself, honestly. It just makes it easier for the DM to tell the story. Next up, we have the Channel Divinity Genre Savvy. At 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to follow predictable lines of storytelling to better prepare yourself, or another, for the worst yet to come. As an action, you choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you, blessing them until the end of their next turn. During that time, the creature has advantage on all saving throws. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It speaks for itself. It is always going to be a Channel Divinity that is going to be useful. That is going to be used throughout the entirety of the game, start to finish. There's never a point where having advantage on saving throws isn't just like fantastic to have.
And to balance it out, it is something that only lasts until the end of their next turn, so it's not necessarily something that works out of combat, unfortunately. So there's no real like trap cheesing or anything like that, unless you're like super premeditating with it. But it does have the most benefit in combat. You're looking at things like very useful against basilisks, banshees. You're looking at dragons. Yeah, pretty much everything. Beholders. Very, very useful channel divinity. And next up we have the 6th level feature, the meta tags. Like meta tags when you hit F12. By 6th level, your DM desperately needs someone to be privy to certain information if anything is going to move forward. But they can't just give it to you for free. At the end of a long rest, you may tithe 100 gold to gain access to meta tags for creatures, locations, or architecture. As an action, you may ask the DM to reveal a meta tag about any of the above, choosing to succeed a history, religion, arcana, nature, or investigation check, or to ask for a creature you can see within 30 feet's current hit points, their surface level thoughts but no further, creature type and alignment, their damage vulnerabilities, resistances, or immunities, or their condition resistances or immunities. You may pay forward a number of meta taxes equal to your wisdom modifier with a minimum of 1. Extremely useful ability, like I said before. This helps not only in potential combat encounters, but identifying creatures who may be disguising themselves, as well as identifying certain key elements about a plot, about history, about a location, about like a statue or like a magic item. This is like dollar store identify, dollar store detect thoughts. It's got a lot of different options that it can fall under, and as long as you're paying your meta taxes, so like with a max of 5, that's 500 gold for 5 times you can dive into deeper meaning behind certain things per day, or at least per long rest. But usually it takes a while for between long rests. I should have listed that you cannot stack these beyond your maximum. You may pay forward a number. I should add that in writing, because much like coffee locks, somebody is going to find a way to break that if I don't specify that. So let me go handle that real quick. Yes, I believe that will do it. You may pay forward a number of meta taxes equal to your wisdom modifier and hold no more than that many uses per long rest at a minimum of 1. There we go. On to the next. We have our 8th level feature, Word of God. I wanted to just go over some of the names. I was mostly going for puns on fourth wall jokes. I did a lot of scrolling through TV tropes to find names that fit. But Word of God, the 8th level feature. At 8th level, your God speaks through you and all beings to further your, and by proxy their, goals. Once per day, you may use an action to attempt to charm a humanoid creature that can understand you. The creature must succeed a wisdom saving throw against your cleric DC, or else it becomes charmed by you for 8 hours. During this time, the creature becomes enamored by you and avails themselves to aiding your goals in any way that they can. That doesn't directly cause them harm or put them in danger. This includes giving you the help action whenever possible, offering you aid or healing when asked, and offering you monetary compensation for goods and services. At 14th level, the creature no longer needs to understand you to fall under the effects of Word of God, and the effect lasts 24 hours. Now, this effect is really only as useful as the person who you're charming, and this is a once per day ability as well. So it's kind of like how a necromancer needs to keep maintaining their... God, that's such a dark way of comparing this to something. but it is accurate. It's like how a necromancer needs to keep refreshing their undead, their control over undead. It is very similar to that. Although there isn't really any real negative of letting this charm lapse, it does come with the caveat of like, okay, this character is no longer charmed by me, but I have just spent a good amount of their money, or like gained their blessing, or like I've gotten their help. I brought them away from where they are used to being. I've made them follow me for so long. If you think of it like this, if you charm a king and you get all of their money, you then have to pay the consequences after that king no longer is charmed. So with great power comes great responsibility. And I see this being one of those things that a lot of people would abuse. And I think that's fine. I think that's fun. It's absolutely within the purview of how this ability can work. I think that is another part of what makes D&D so enjoyable. How you can use the abilities to kind of manipulate things to your favor. And then we have the final feature, the 17th level feature, Breaking the Fourth Wall. At 17th level, you're blessed with the ability to break the very fabric of the game at your will. Once per day, you may perform one of the following actions. You may cast Reality Break once per day without expending a spell slot, but you may not prepare the spell as you normally might. Or you may teleport to any location you have been to within the last 24 hours. And there you have it, our meta domain Cleric. Redone from not necessarily the ground up, but there were some things I did have to get rid of, but for the most part I kept things relatively well in line with what they had originally planned. It's not especially broken, but it is quite powerful. It is definitely a game-changing subclass. Although it is not geared towards combat as much as it is geared towards roleplay and story purposes. There is quite a lot of things that this subclass can do. It is, in its own right, rather supportive. It is well adapted to assisting the party, assisting the story moving forward. And I think it does a really good job of that. I don't really know any characters that I would say this fits with. I wouldn't know what to even begin comparing this to. I think it's... Asriel said that the idea reminded him of like Deadpool or She-Hulk, but I think this goes a bit beyond even them. Hell, I think this is more along the lines of something like, almost like a Franklin Richards, if Franklin could also break the fourth wall. God, it's been so long since I've read a Marvel comic, I don't know if he can. He might be able to do that. But yeah, I think that just about does it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I've got some other things I'm working on, and hopefully I'll have that done by Friday. If not, oh well, I'll probably have another subclass by then. But in the meantime, I hope you all like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, and I will catch you all in the next video. Breathe easy.